Hello and welcome to Retirementals. We have a first on this podcast today. My guests today are a husband and wife team running an amazing financial planning firm, Berry and Hook, which is an award-winning chartered financial planning firm based in West Yorkshire. If you don't know who I'm talking about, it's the power couple behind Berry and Oak. Andrew and Sarah Elson, welcome to Retirementals.
Good morning.
Good morning, everybody. And I say you picked a great day for doing this, Abraham. Last day of the tax year, and you paused off that to come and do a podcast. You know, there's still some ISIS to be done.
In my defense, Andrew, we did try to get you on the podcast a few times. Then I had to speak to your secretary and your assistant and your PA, and ultimately they found me a slot. Yeah. You're a very, very busy couple.
The entourage is huge. You know that you've got to get past. We've got a great defense.
Good stuff. I'm delighted to have you guys on the podcast. Let's get started. Tell us a little bit about the firm today and the journey that led both of you into financial planning.
All right. Well, I'll start off with that. I think we'll go back right to the very beginning. And it's almost like start with education. So both Sarah and I did A-levels, although you probably can't say that about me because I got a D and 2 E's. And I can't say that. In fact, I've got to make sure my son doesn't watch this video because he's doing his A-levels right now and he still doesn't understand how bad mine are. Sarah's are better than mine, but it's quite fair to say that because of that, we didn't go to university. Decided, you know what, I want to get a job. And at 18, I started work for TSB Bank as a cashier on about $6,500 a year on their accelerated training program. Sarah, obviously a few years younger than me, started a bit later.
Yeah, I started at 17. Same thing, straight from A-levels onto I went in as cashier, actually. It was a 6-month temporary contract, which I was going to do and then go to uni, but I enjoyed it that much that I ended up staying on. And again, just worked my way up from the bank from cashier to... I used to watch the financial planner in my branch and thought, well, I can do that. That's not that hard. So I nagged till I sat my exams, proved I could do it. And
by exams, I mean FP 1, 2 and 3.
Yeah,
I mean,
FP1, 2 and
those
3.
who was a little bit older out there will sort of exams FP 1, 2 and 3.
And then
I don't know. They're not the easiest exams to pass. Were they FP 1, 2, and 3?
Yeah, I don't know. There's a couple of people where you could have just flicked a coin and you had a good chance. It was a 50-50 pass,
But anyway, so I became a financial planner when I was 20. I was too young to even have the company car, so they had to hire me a Ford car from the local rental car company, and that was my first company car again at TSB.
And I think both of us sort of stayed at TSB probably about 10, 15 years. So again, I was similar, went for cashier, started doing the in-branch interviewing, mortgages, loans, saw the financial advisor bit thinking, that's easy because I just kept putting people in his office and he just signed an application form and decided that was a job I wanted to do. We learned there. And while we're both at TSB, it probably gave us a lot of where we are today. Because despite all the things that banks became, there was very good training, people skills, sales skills, customer service skills. There was something that we used to do every day called Fit to Fly in the branch, which, I mean, do you want to talk about when you were?
Yeah, so in my branch, I became a branch manager. And that's where we met, which we'll talk about in a minute. But before the branch opened in the morning, we used to do something called Fit to Fly. So it was making sure the branch was ready to be open for the customers to come in. So we'd go into the banking hall, check the brochures were filled up, check all the deposit withdrawal slips were in, that the pens worked and they'd got ink in them. And we've carried that through into the business, and we have now a Fit to Fly process before clients come into the meeting room, which is the same thing. We make sure the TV's on with the Berry and Oak sort of like welcome message on the screen. We make sure the air freshener's on so it smells nice, the kettle's boiled. So just so the clients come in and they feel expected and ready to be received, really. They don't come into an office where we're like, oh, you're here.
Yeah. And the other thing I think we got from TSB, again, which flows through what we do, is they did a big training program called Total Quality Management, which basically everybody in the whole bank did. And a big thing came out about it, which was do the right thing first time and every time. And that was like a slogan that they had. And that's still what we do today. If we're going to do something, we do it properly. We don't cut corners. We make sure it's done to a high standard all the way through.
That's incredible. So when did you two get together? At what point? Who was the boss, or who was the senior?
Come on, he's paid you money.
So we met. I got promoted to be a bank manager, and I moved up into the branch where Andrew was based as the financial advisor. So technically,
only 1 or 2 days a week.
I was Andrew's boss.
Abraham, this is one of those moments where recollections may vary.
You wouldn't not get into work without me opening the doors in the morning.
So you were his boss, and he was then going to ask you out, and then you.
Well, I think she pounced on me on a works night out. She pounced on me.
The funny thing was we kept it secret for about 3 or 4 months that we were together, and then we thought actually we need to make an announcement. We need to kind of tell the rest of the staff in the branch. So we told them all, and they're all like, "Yeah, we know."
I think we need to scrub this bit. I think we need to scrub this bit. It's not good for my reputation.
And did you have to have a conversation with HR?
Yeah, we did. We had a conversation in HR. And as Sarah's the manager, the boss at the time, delegated me to go do that. So we did it from there, and they were like, yeah, don't care, just carry on as normal. It was a branch. Wonderful. I was only in 1 or 2 days a week because I covered 2 or 3 different branches, but she kept trying to get me there 3 and 4 days because I was good for the targets.
In fact, my branch was delivering the leads, so he did end up coming 3 days a week because my team and the staff were giving him the appointments. So, so we've kind of worked together for a long while, really, because I know a lot of people say to us, "How do you work together? How have you worked together?" I think we don't really know anything else. We've probably had about 2 years where I worked for Scottish Widows, and you were sort of like just setting up. But apart from that, we've worked together for the sort of like 20 odd years we've been together. So we don't know anything other than working together, really.
Yeah.
And it's amazing, both of you are still alive.
Yeah, we do have our moments, but so I think after that, I think TSB been going 15 years, but it was getting to a stage where I think I had the advanced diploma. I even had G60 for the pension, which is the proper exam, and stuff like that. But couldn't use it in the sort of the world that we were in, which is just selling ISAs, and we had a choice of 2: UK growth or worldwide. That was the choice, and I decided that I wanted to really stretch myself and do more. And actually, it was more about the clients, because I wanted to be able to look after the clients and do better for them. And the sales management culture that banks are developing, where you used to have to sell more and more. And I'm like, well, I just want to look after and see last year's clients, check they're okay. No, you can't do that because there's nothing new to sell. So I left and joined a network at the time, one called Millfield, that changed its names many times from Millfield, Bates Millfield Partnership, and then it ended up as Honister, that went belly up eventually. And that was sort of starting off as a one-man band IFA, just me on my own. Went through getting an administrator, and then it was a time, I think we'd had our boy being born, and Sarah had been on maternity leave and went back, but she wanted to go back 3 or 4 days a week, which they weren't really keen to do. So I promised her 3 or 4 days a week if she came to work for me, and so now I'm the boss.
That's how he likes to think.
But I let her settle in for the first sort of, I think, 3 or 4 weeks, working 3 or 4 days a week, and then I said, no, I needed 5 days now, and that were it.
Now I'm on 6 days, so.
And Sarah, during the time then, you went on to do your chartered and certified, or all of those sort of exams?
Yeah, well, I didn't pick my exams up until our boy was probably about 3 or 4.
Right.
And then I worked through my diploma and my chartered and my CFP. So I won't say it was easy. I was juggling being a mum to, sort of like a school age child, running a business and doing my exams, but got there in the end. So, and it's been really useful because the team are going through their exams. I've done my exams, and so I know, what they're going through, how hard it is. Really, I think there's a lot of exams really when you go from nothing to get to chartered, and I think it's if you've done them yourself, you appreciate the work that's involved for anybody else that's doing them.
It's incredible stuff. So tell us where the business is today. What does Berry and Oak look like today? Tell us about the people, about the clients. Give us some numbers. I like my numbers. I'm sure you do too.
Yeah. Okay. So Berry and Oak actually started back in January 2018. As I said, we've been through the network part. And then eventually we decided networks weren't for us. There'd been a good structure. We'd got us where we needed to be, but we're probably getting a bit too big. And also, we wanted to paddle our own canoe. We knew what we'd like to do, how we wanted to do it, and it didn't necessarily fit the network culture, which was funds under management, and we were more client focused and, being in, all the work that we did for the client.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing was having our own identity. We'd been part of a network, and we obviously had to use their name, and it was that time we felt, to actually design our own brand, our own colours, and have something that we sort of like were really proud of to shout about. And it was what we call unconscious uncoupling, a bit like Gwyneth Paltrow and Chris Martin. So it was done in a very, very amicable manner. We still work with the network that we were part of. It was all done in a very nice way. We just felt it was time for ourselves to kind of, I suppose, create Berry and Oak really as it is today.
Yeah.
And I like the brand. Who's the berry? Who's the oak?
Well, I'm the gnarly old oak tree, the way it's described by Sarah, and sees the sweet berry,
Yeah, no, we spent a lot of time mulling. We worked with somebody that helped us come up with a name, and we spent a lot of time going over different names. We looked at, plays on, the Latin for money and all that sort of thing, and just couldn't come up with anything that we liked. And we started then working on, well, what sort of brands do our clients identify with?
No, stop. What we did is I looked through our credit card statement, and it was Mulberry, Burberry.
It will be. And then that's where Berry came from, and then it was sort of like just developed from there really, and we just felt it sounded like the name of a company that had been around for a long time. The ampersand in between Berry and Oak is designed to be, bringing the berry and the oak together, the labours of your hard work and things like that.
Yeah, and it also signals to clients that it's the ampersand, it's a partnership between you and Berry and Oak, so it's a joining on it from there. And the feedback we got at the time when it was being discussed was, it sounds like a professional firm, like a firm of solicitors or an accountant. It sounds very robust if it's been around a long time. So that's where the whole name came from for that. And at the time, we were unsure about it, and it's fair to say it's grown on us. And now we love it. It's been a great name, but it is a very interesting bit to go through choosing a name without coming up with crazy Latin names or putting our own name in the middle of it as a bit of ego or something. So it stands nice and separate, and that fell for it from there. So it was a great process to go through. So it started 5 years ago. Since then, bit of numbers, we've probably doubled our turnover now. Just obviously year just finished. We're at 1.2 million. Funds under management again doubled last 5 years. We're at 120 million. If markets had been a bit kinder in the last 12 months, that would obviously been a bit bigger. Our trail is about 90% of our turnover, and 15% of that is fixed fee paid on a monthly basis. So most of it is AUM based, but a bigger and bigger part of it is becoming a fixed fee financial planning fee part. We'll look after 194 households. And our plan at the moment is to take on one new client a month. At the minute, we're onboarding 7. Again, our process, and I'm sure we'll touch on it soon, our process of bringing on a new client is pretty detailed. It's not a quick bit. So it's fair to say taking on a new client can easily kill us if you get too many at the same time. So we have to be choosy who we work with. But at the same time, we've also been very fair to a lot of clients, saying there's a few now where we've done too good a job they don't need us anymore. And we've been, another uncoupling that we've been doing is talking to some clients saying, you don't really need us anymore. We've got you to a great place. The investments you've got, you could self-manage, self-serve. Just do that and stop paying our fee now. And if you need us, come back to us. We're always here. One or two we found somewhere that was doing a much lower sort of touch service, therefore was a bit cheaper, and said, look, this is going to be right for you now. And I think under consumer duty, that's what firms are going to have to start doing a bit more, saying that to you, you're still adding value to these clients. And we were, said quite upfront with people about that. I think one we just had recently was actually a client that you had.
Yeah, one of my clients, wasn't it? Again, I've looked after this lady for a number of years, really, and she'd really been living her best life. She was just drawing down her investments every year, travelling, going on holidays. We got to the point that I think she'd got about £35,000 left, and was wanting to talk about sort of like, maybe do an equity release because she lived in a really big house. And it was just, there was nothing really left for us to to manage and look after. So again, over the few years coming up, we had the conversation, at some point, it's not worth you paying us anymore. So for the last meeting, she came in and she went, I know today is the goodbye meeting. And she was just really lovely. And we kind of sort of like set her on her way, got her all sorted out. And she, I still see her because she lives in the village where our office is. I see her at lunchtime sometimes when I'm out and about. And she left us on that day, gave us a 5-star Google review, and referred another friend to her that became a client. So obviously happy with what we'd done, but also knew herself that, there was no point of paying us when we couldn't add her any more value to what we were doing really for her.
But it just shows that you can easily, you can do this in a professional manner where everybody's happy.
You're listening to Retirementals.
So the two of you are the planners within the firm, and then tell us a little bit about the support team. I'm interested though, I know Sarah's officially operations director. What's the split of clients between you two, and then tell us a little bit about
Yeah, I'll do that for you, Abraham, then. So I'm the main advisor, so most people see me on it from there. Sarah, as you said, does more of the operational work, so she kindly volunteered to do things like the VAT return, the Gable return, anything to do with the compliance stuff. So that's Sarah's. I get to talk to people about their lives and all the really good, great stuff. So Sarah probably sees about 5% of our clients. Sometimes more of a popping in, making sure they're all right, dealing on the phone, and I'll do more of the advising part of it. But we've also got Dan, who's with us as an advisor now. He joined us about 3 years ago as a paraplanner to go into a trainee advisor role, and then he became an advisor with us about a year ago, fully fledged, signed off advisor. And over the last 12 months or so, we've been, it started before that, we've been gradually handing over the clients to him. So there's some clients that are just his now, some he still sits in with me, and some that that'll probably be a support to me for some time. So he's got about 55 clients of his own now, but it's been a meeting over 2 or 3 years to hand those clients over. Not just, by the way, next year you're seeing Dan, see you later. It's been introduced him to the meeting, and I was probably the lead. Then he did a meeting and took over more of it. Then I was sort of like taking his notes in the meeting, and he was doing the meeting. And then next time I wasn't there. And the clients have sort of accepted that, and they see themselves as clients of Berry and Oak rather than an individual advisor client. And that's something I think a lot of firms struggle with. That client advisors can be very possessive of their client, but they're really the clients of the firm, and they're looked after by the firm. And I think, Sarah, if you want to talk about the back office, but if the back office don't do what they do, the advisors can't do what they do.
Yeah, so again, I was probably just touching on what Andrew said. I think when you've looked after a client, like Andrew's looked after some of these clients for 15, 20 years, to just hand over and say, by the way, this is Dan, he's going to be looking after you, just isn't the right thing to do. So it's been a gradual sort of like transition for the clients, so they felt comfortably, and also to make sure that Dan understands everything about their family, their financial plan, so that Dan can pick up and deliver the same service that they've always had, really, which he has done, and he's done a really good job with. So we've got a great team behind us as well. So as well as that, we've got 2 paraplanners that are in-house, and we also have an outsourced paraplanner that we work with as well. And then we've got Lily, our graduate trainee, and then 2 other administrators upstairs as well. And again, a lot of the work, particularly this last 2 or 3 weeks, they've been absolute machines upstairs, getting everything processed for tax year end. But yeah, I think the big thing with Berry and Oak is it's, although Andrew and Dan and myself are probably the face of the company because we're the advisors that are out there, or, speaking to yourself, we couldn't do what we do, even like spend the time we're spending with you now if we didn't have the team upstairs to be looking after the clients and making sure that they were well serviced, really. So it's a big team effort.
Yeah, and it's incredible in the sense that often we forget, or we don't pay enough attention and give enough credit to the operations team, right, behind the advisors. And it's insane. I've spoken to a lot of advisors. We see a fair bit through our conversation, and what I tend to find out is that the guys and girls who are up there in terms of productivity, if you think, well, according to FCA data, people are going to shout at me, but I didn't make these numbers up, the FCA does. An average advisor would do like 200,000, an average advisor, £200,000 a year. And then if you look at a firm like yours, which, again, my definition, I'll define it as a 2 advisor firm, which is like doing 2.5 times that, and I would look at it and I would say the key difference I find between, these top producers or top productivity advisors and others, or the average, tends to be just the quality of their support team, the operations behind them. Would you disagree?
I think definitely agree with that. And I've had this conversation with people for a time. I see a lot of firms where there's 8 advisors, 1 paraplanner and 1 admin.
Right.
Yeah, great. Yeah. Where I would say our pyramid is the complete opposite direction. I'd almost not want to take on another advisor. I'd rather take on another administrator, another paraplanner, or another operations role, and said, if you could take this off me, or you could take this off Dan or off Sarah, we've got the ability to ratchet up our turnover easily. Finding another advisor, you've got to make sure they're doing it the right way. They then need their own support behind them. So better and higher numbers of back office support is the key to me, I think, to productivity of firms and success, and also de-risking the business, because the front line is where it's going to probably go wrong, and the fewer people you've got on the front line, it makes it easier. And I know you've done some work recently that I've always been really interested in, is what is the ideal, what's the optimum size of firm for profitability? And I think you recently came out between 2 and 5 advisors, which would have probably met with my gut feeling, because you get...
I like to take credit, by the way, but it's not my data. I'm just taking other people's data. Sorry, carry on. And some people said to me, Phil Billingham said to me, Abraham, I've seen this data, this thing you're talking about in the 1990s, right? So there's nothing new here.
Yeah, absolutely. But there are, I see the bigger firms they actually don't make any more money. You just get busier and have more hassle, and you've got a head of department for every department, and barely make a profit and go bust. Or you stay a nice, good-sized business, turning over, everybody's happy, everybody's making money, great client service. Yeah. Why change?
And I think the other thing we do as well, although I've told you the team, we've got a massive support team outsourced as well. So we work very much in working in our unique ability, and we do what we are good at and what we are best at. And then we bring in other people. So I've got a fantastic bookkeeper that does all our books, our accounts, and our accountant. I outsource our marketing, so our newsletter and things like that, and our website are designed and built by somebody else. So we keep involved and give input to them, but we use somebody else's sort of like marketing expertise for that. And again, I use somebody completely separate for social media. It was the biggest thing I found hardest to let go when we started outsourcing, because it had been my baby for so long, and I was so worried about what somebody was going to put on social media on my behalf. But we drafted some brand guidelines and some criteria, and I have somebody that does my social media that knows absolutely nothing about financial services. So the posts that go out obviously have to make sense because she has to understand them herself. We've had some really good feedback from our social media. She does some really great posts for us.
And that's the thing, we've been really happy to share with anybody all the things that we do, how we do it. The one thing Sarah won't share is the person that does our social media. And that's because we think it's a bit different. We see a lot of firms out there that they've bought that social media stuff off the shelf because I've seen that same post 5 times just with different logos.
I once saw that on Twitter, maybe 18 months ago, that I looked on Twitter and the same post was about 4 or 5 times. It was just in a different firm's branding. And I just really didn't want ours to have that. So because ours is pretty much bespoke, made for us, I know nobody else is ever going to put the same post out that we are. So that's why I keep it my tightly guarded secret.
It's incredible. I mean, your marketing, the branding, I haven't seen your newsletter, but I've seen the branding on the website, the video. I know you've won quite a few awards as well. The marketing is really strong. It comes across, just looking at to me, it comes across boutique, niche, dare I say, a little bit posh.
Cross from Yorkshire.
Funnily enough, we brought an intern in. I think it'd probably be the first or second year that Berry and Oak was running. And rather than us bringing an intern to do financial services, we brought in a marketing intern, so somebody that was at uni doing a marketing course.
It was about 8 weeks, 10 weeks.
She spent 8 weeks with us, and we literally spent the 8 weeks, and I used her, what she'd learned doing marketing for 3 years at uni, and she helped me come up with some brand guidelines. She helped me we use something called Canva for doing some of our marketing posts. She helped me get that all set up and working and running. So it's a great way if anybody's, wanting help with stuff like that, get an intern in. And we let her take back. She helped me bring out we wrote the Berry and Oak social media strategy with what we do each month, the basics of it. But because there was nothing confidential in there was no client data or anything like that, she was able to take that back as part of her final year sort of like work that she'd done in evidences. So as well as her gaining the experience, she helped us a lot. It was a win for both of us, really. It was and
that's what we've done, with the guidelines as well, is that we decided that we wanted to have a sort of consistent look and feel. So I think now if you see a social media post, it's ours, straight away, because it's got the colouring that's on it, etc. And that's what we wanted to be sort of consistent of, rather than just random photos and a few words. But it has all to be about building the brand, which has worked very well from a client attraction, because they're sort of seeing the brand or working with professional connections. But also what works well with it now is our name's got out there quite a bit in the community, professional advice community, that we get quite a few people now approaching us wanting to join us. So we get emails out of the blue saying, I'm an advisor, I want to change firm. I really like what you do at Berry and Oak. I've been following you on social media for a year or so. Can we have a conversation? And we have that from admin and power planning. So there are a few conversations going on with people at the moment that at the right time for us, they may well be joining. And it's been because they've seen the brand and what we sort of stand for as a business, and it's meets their values and their culture and what they're looking for in a firm, because we're very much financial planning is what we do. We're not asset gatherers and all of the things. It's about looking after the client, and that resonates a lot with the staff that work with us now, and the people that want to join us. They want to be there where they're making a difference to clients' lives.
Incredible stuff, good stuff. So you alluded earlier on to fees, to this thing you're doing with I think you said fixed fee or flat fees. I'm interested in, give us a sense of how your fees stacks up currently, AUM versus flat fee. What's driving this shift, if I might call it that?
So, I mean, the first thing to be sort of really clear about is we do a financial plan, a proper financial plan for practically every client. I read a great quote from Dimensional recently, which I've reused, that a pilot won't fly a plane without a flight plan. We won't invest anybody's money without a financial plan. So we are very much you go through a cash flow plan model with us, which isn't just about the cash flow and the graphs. It's the conversation, it's the story, it's what are you trying to do and why. And we do that for every client. And it's really interesting because I've actually got a client this afternoon over Zoom. That's a new client that came to us on the back of us winning one of the awards. They saw that because they're based quite away from us. But they weren't happy with their existing advisor and the investment performance and all this, and they wanted to move it. But they were quite adamant they didn't really want to go down the financial planning bit because they'd done that before. They just wanted to invest the money, and then if the investments were going to go well, then they'd talk financial planning. And I went, well, sorry, that ain't the way we work. You know, it's this way round.
You're putting the cart
Yeah,
before
it's this way
horse,
round, and this is why. So sorry if that's what you want to do. You know, we're not for you. And it's £500,000 to invest, so we were like happy to walk away because I know it's just not going to end well. They gave it a day, came back, said, okay, we'll do it your way. We'll do the planning. And what's interesting is that the couple are about 72 years old. And they've got 60, 70 grand a year of guaranteed income from DB pension, state pension. And they're not quite spending that. And they've got £500,000 to invest. And I'm like, well, when are you going to spend it? Well, we want to make it grow. I'm like, you're 72 bloody years old. And you're not going to be surprised if I tell you their cash flow now is off the chart. So the conversation is, you're going to start, for us, if all I do is take your £500,000 and make it 750, that ain't done you a good job. If you haven't done anything different, anything new. And it was interesting because, as I alluded to, we onboard people over a few meetings. And when I sort of told them, because I could see what it was going to be initially, by the last time I spoke to them, they suddenly had talked about moving house, going on holiday more, doing other things that are hobbies that they'd always wanted to do. So it had changed their mindset from we're just going to invest the money and watch it grow to, and I think she said one of our friends, they go to Australia every year and that. And I'm like, they're obviously spending the money doing well. I said, that's what you should be doing. You've got all this money. Why are you not doing it?
It's like we're giving them permission to spend. I think the fact that they know they've got a plan and their plan shows we can afford to spend all this money and we're still going to be okay. And if they're not coming back into their meetings with us telling us where they've been or what they've done,
there's going to be trouble.
Yeah, basically. And they know that.
But that's what our job is to help people live their best life. It's not to invest their money and make loads of things for it. Get good returns to fund the life bit. But it's having that hard conversation with people saying, you need to do a bit more. You can live, don't stop. So it'll be really interesting how that one goes later on. But sorry, back to fees.
No, it's good. I love that.
So because we do that financial planning as a separate piece, we charge for that. That's what we call Module 1 designing your financial plan. And we charge a fixed fee for that. It's £3,000 plus VAT. Now, we deliberately separated it and added VAT to it because we treat it as a separate financial planning piece. There's not this design to intermediate. We could put that in and it could save the client a bit of VAT, but now we're trying to sell a product. We've positioned it, it's a financial planning piece. That's it. And we've been there before whereby, we've done it before. It was a range. It was between 1,000 and 4,000, which, well, where am I on the range? And you always end up being near 1,000 and giving it away cheaper and, and debating where you were on the range. So we did it about 3 or 4 years ago. It's just 3,000. There is no ifs. There is no buts. There is no discounts. It's 3,000 plus VAT. And you pay it at the start. No pay, no start. And that gets rid of all the tire kickers. And also, you sometimes get clients where they're not as good as giving you the paperwork. They take the time. Hey, you've paid. You can take as long as you like.
I think the fact that paid makes them get on with it. In the past, we've had it where we did it half up front, half on presentation of the plan. And I just don't think they're bought in as well. But I think that they make that initial investment and they get on with it, and we follow the process and it works. And it works for us.
Yeah, and obviously there's going to be ones that we miss out on because they don't want to do that. Well, if you're going to start arguing by fees at the outset, you're going to be arguing for fees all the way through the journey. So we've showed them that value. They've engaged with it. They've gone with it, and we've never had anybody that's been an issue with. Once they've gone through it, they've all got great value and taken it from there. So very much set one financial plan. That's the fee for the planning. Then it's now we've done the plan, we know what's left, we know what you need to do. And actually, that one, and that one, they're fine as they are. You don't need me to do anything, just leave them. These ones here, we need to move. Typically, we charge about 1% of the amount that we're giving the advice on to do. Sometimes if it's slightly smaller or there's multiple pensions, that might have to go up because, £500,000 of cash is a lot easier to invest than 7 pensions totaling 500,000. So we have to depend what will happen there. And if it gets really big, we'd look to cap it. On an ongoing basis, we charge 1% assets under management, that after 1.5 million, we start tearing it down. But then this is the other bit that we do different is we charge a separate monthly financial planning fee for all the clients that we're doing financial planning on.
That's interesting. I was going to get to that. Sorry, carry on. Carry on.
So we charge that, and it's just gone up from £90 to £100 a month, including VAT, because it's vatable. And my view about that is we do the proper bit of updating cash flow and on all the things from it, which is a financial planning service. It's nothing to do with the intermediation on changing your funds or whatever in your pension or your investments. And I have a fear that, especially in pensions, that people taking all the asset under management charge out of a pension and then providing all these other services on bank accounts, cash flow, wills, power of attorneys, etc., that's an unauthorised withdrawal. And at some stage, that's going to come to bite the profession, I feel. So we charge a separate monthly fee that's the financial planning, and we charge the asset under management fee for the suitability and amending the portfolios and the stuff that goes with it from there. To be honest, the ratio is probably wrong. They should be paying £3,000 a month and they should be paying 0.2% trail. But the market we have found has not been
ready for that.
Ready for that bit. So it's a start. And gradually we're trying to increase that and reduce the asset under management bit. So our clients are used to paying these ongoing fees, but it's been that's the financial planning piece, because I think it is a different service and shouldn't be wrapped up in the other bit. I'm sure many people will argue with us.
I know hundreds of firms, but I can only think just right now, maybe about 3 or 4 who do this thing that you do, which is to have an ongoing, I'm going to call it retainer for the financial services, for the financial planning element. And the thing I was going to say, you already thought of it, which is like, I always wonder about, the ratio being wrong in the sense that, you charge £100 a month for the financial planning. That's like, 1,200 a year by the power of arithmetic. But if someone has a £500,000 portfolio and you're charging 1%, that's like 5,000. And so you say, well, actually, it should be the other way around. But I completely agree with you that the market, the market is just not right for it. I've seen example of planners who will, not many, who would deduct the planning fee from the 1%. So they would say, let's say, for instance, the planning fee is £3,000 a year, and they would deduct that from the pension. And then there will be some sort of basis point for the rest of the regulated advice. But the client doesn't care, right? And as you say, the market is probably not ready for a lot of these things. But it's incredible to see progress and people like yourselves trying to get close. It's like that pursuit of happiness, isn't it? You're trying to get, you're never going to get there, maybe.
Sarah's ever, there. She's met me.
But you're definitely striving towards it. That's incredible. So you've got a great business. You got an incredible team. Over £1 million of turnover. That's fantastic. Very high in terms of productivity. Lots and lots of awards. Before we finish this call, Sarah will probably have won another award. That's incredible. where does this go? Where do you take this as a
A really good
business?
question, Abraham, and something we've been looking at and working at a little bit over the last year, 18 months, because we've got to a great place as a lifestyle business. I mean, that's probably where we are at the moment. Lifestyle business maybe took a step or two above, and it's either stay as we are, good brand, good reputation, doing the good stuff, great lifestyle, really enjoying it. What's the problem? Or we take that next step of transitioning it into a business that is going to have different people running, taking over different responsibilities, and that's a 2 to 5 year journey. That in 5 years' time, Sarah and I don't have to be in the business. The business could run itself, and all the things that go to it from there. So we're working with a couple of business consultants at the moment that are helping us shape what that might look like, and what's involved. There's 1 or 2 firms that have expressed an interest in merging with us. Every other day there's a phone call of I think I'm up to 25 times recurring income now.
I think that the biggest thing that I think for us is that the team needs to, whatever we do with the business going forward, the team needs to be looked after, and the clients. We couldn't just be acquired by somebody and the clients just be, I don't know, we're just not looked after and pushed. We've spent a long time. These clients have trusted us with their lives, really. We look after their life savings for them. So we would need to make sure that whether it's that we grow Berry and Oak or we merge with another company, that the clients are in the right home and the team are.
Yeah. And we're in no rush. I've sort of got lots of oil of Ulay that I've been using, so I'm very young. Sarah's much younger than I.
I was going to say Sarah is still very much. I was going to say Sarah is still very much a spring chicken. I can't say this.
And I'm the gnarly oak tree. I know. But yeah, no, we're still very young. We've still got plenty of time left with us from there. But it is that next stage. What do we do? Which is, for us, we're bringing in 1 or 2 other people of sort of a senior level to help run the business and take it through this next stage of growth, which is steadily expanding is our preference. Taking on another advisor, another back office team to support that advisor and increasing the reach of the clients that we can serve, because we're very much like, we want to help everybody. Everybody out there we want to help and be able to sort, and obviously the size limits how many extra people we can look after and deal with from there. So yeah, very, very interesting point, and firms get to that bit. We don't want to become huge and lose our sort of client-centric appeal, and also spend all our time managing stuff and not being able to see clients.
Yeah, and I think just an example, the size of the firm, we all know the clients and they all know us. So I've spent this morning ringing all our clients just to tell them to expect their letter to do their better and ISA for the next tax year tomorrow. And each client I've rung, had a bit of a chat about where they're going on holiday, what they're doing. So it's, it's just that we can deliver that personal service at the moment. If you get too big, then the person calling the client might not know the client and might, not be able to have that chat with them, which I think is, is quite important. The client feels that, I've rung up and, the gentleman I spoke to before I came on the call was telling me he's off to Mauritius in a couple of weeks and what the weather's going to be like. And it makes it a nice call to have.
And I think that was the other thing we didn't say earlier, really, is probably something else that unique that Berry and Oak do is we have at least 2 people sat in every client meeting. And that's a range between being another advisor, a power planner, and actually the administration staff spend as much time in the meetings as the rest, because they're usually the people that pick up the phone, pick up the emails, etc. So they're involved in the meetings, taking notes, being involved and seeing what's going on, which has lots of benefits. It means I don't have to type notes as much or write notes.
There's a big benefit to Andrew not writing.
Yeah. If I hadn't been a financial advisor, if I hadn't been a financial advisor, I should have been a doctor from my writing. But also it's great for their knowledge and learning. There's no better way of learning about a topic than actually sat there hearing it. And 3, from the client's point of view, the clients then feel it's not just an advisor. There's a team of people. That team might change next time they see we have somebody different sat in. So when we do things like client events where we do like a seminar and invite them along, all the staff come along as well, everybody. And the clients spend as much time talking to the staff as they will do me or Sarah or Dan, because they know them really well from sat in the meetings or over the phone and emails. They put in a face to a name, and we get a lot of really good feedback from clients that they really enjoy meeting the whole team.
Fantastic stuff. Sarah, Andrew, I have really truly enjoyed our conversation and learning about your business and the good work that you're doing. So thank you very much for making the time. Is there anything that you wanted to say by the way of closing? Anything that we haven't got to that you want to, Sarah, especially?
Yeah, I don't get a word in, do I?
Really?
No, I think no, nothing from me.
No, we really enjoyed doing it, and thanks for all the great work you're doing out there as well, sort of supporting the financial planning profession. We need people to be able to raise their hands and push what financial planning really is, because it does make a huge difference to clients' lives when we do it properly.
You're too kind, Andrew. Thank you very, very much. Thank you for the good work you do. Thank you for being a role model in our profession for others and thank you for coming here to share your story. Really enjoy the conversation. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll be remiss if I don't thank my incredible team who worked very hard to put this program together. Thank you very much, guys. I'd like to thank our sponsors, Timeline Retirement Planning Software and PyTech, low-cost flat-fee model portfolio manager. And to you, our listeners, thank you for your time. I hope you've had as much fun listening to the program as we have making it. You can find more about the show at retirementals.co.uk and you can follow me on Twitter. My handle is Abraham on Money. Until next time, thank you.